Oh, I am so tired. 3 PLEs. 3 of the bastards. Alright, let's do this. I'm Kurt for Talks with Dorks, and this is the Wrestling Roundup. So, normally I do this on a Tuesday after Monday Night Raw, and it goes out on a Wednesday, but so much has happened over the weekend that Raw will simply have to wait. Now, I know as you're probably watching this, it's at least Tuesday morning, but for me, Raw hasn't happened yet, but f*** me running, a lot of stuff has happened. So, let's do this in order. The weekend started with NXT Great American Bash. I'm not going to unpack the show too much because we simply do not have the time, but I will give props to my spot of the night, which saw Ethan Page deliver an Ego's Edge off the stage to Ricky Saints. Of course though, on the WWE side of things, Saturday was the home of the latest Saturday night's main event. Very overtly put on by the big dub to compete with AEW's All In. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'm not a tribalist by any means. I'll take good wrestling in any format and I don't care where it comes from. But, in this humble man's opinion, AEW absolutely won that particular battle this weekend. I'll get on to All In later on, but first though, to give main event its full due, a few good quality moments here, and one really bad one. Among the other highlights, thank you to WWE for toying with my emotions during the Goldberg match. Genuinely looked like Goldie was going to confirm my fears and take the World Heavyweight title away from Gunther after delivering what can only be described as a very sassy suplex. Look, the jackhammer hasn't looked impactful for literal years. However, after a close 2 count following the jackhammer, Gunther would lock in a sleeper hold for the win. Thank God. Look, I've made no secret about my fears that they were going to put the title on Goldberg, but credit to Goldie. He looked good in his final outing, and he got to go out in a big match, putting a younger talent over, as it should be. However, although we did get some good things on Saturday night's main event, we also got a bad thing. We got a very bad thing. So, Seth Rollins, during his match with LA Knight, seemed to tweak his knee landing following what looked like a relatively standard springboard moonsault. Definitely doesn't look like there's any fault on either Seth or Knight here. The spots seemed to go as planned. Seth stuck the landing, didn't seem to land awkwardly at all, but the knee immediately buckled and they had to change the finish of the match on the fly. Seth was apparently supposed to go over here, but following a very brief chat with the referee and the doctor, hobbled his way over to the new finish, which saw LA Knight immediately planted with the BFT for the 1, 2, 3. Credit to Seth, he seemed to immediately know something was wrong, but credit to him for thinking on his feet. Well, foot. No, honestly, joking aside, credit to Seth for thinking on his feet, finishing the match and having the wherewithal to come up with that new finish very much on the fly. It is never good seeing a wrestler get hurt. Here's wishing Seth a very speedy recovery. At the time of recording, it's unknown where Seth's injury is going to take him, how serious it is. Worst case prognosis could see the man out for up to 12 months, and I really hope that it ends up being just a tweak and nothing more than that, because we cannot do without the architect for that long. I'm getting flashbacks to like 2014, 2015 here. I really hope it is not as bad as that. But moving on to WWE's big competition on Saturday, and a lot of people have been saying that AEW are having a bit of a resurgence at the moment. But I'll be honest, with WWE being so hot right now, many, myself included, haven't really given AEW much of a look in over the course of the last few months. But man, it was like they had a point to prove on Saturday. Like I said, I feel like they absolutely won the battle of which PLE was the best. In fact, you know what? I'm going to say this here. I think All In beat both Saturday night's main event and Evolution together. It was that perfect of a show. Very much AEW's WrestleMania. All in Texas, to put it bluntly, banged. I mean, where to start? I mean, we had the Ops versus the Death Riders, which ended with a gnarly looking stomp to a chair wrapped around Samoa Joe's neck. Although, To be fair, in the grand scheme of things to come, this was actually one of the more family-friendly moments from the night. Shortly after that, we had the one thing that put a real downer on the night. Of course, we had the Casino Battle Royale. We had Athena as well, securing her #1 contender spot. But the only real downer from the night came with Adam Cole announcing that, due to health issues, he would not be competing and was not even sure if this would end up being his retirement speech or not. Cue Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, tears in their eyes, just giving their brother the biggest of hugs in support. And Adam, man, I hope this isn't that serious all told, and that we see you back on our screens very soon in any capacity. Hope you're back in the ring, but honestly, I'll take you in whatever capacity we can, Adam. Here's wishing you a speedy recovery, whatever it may look like. So from emotional trauma to testicular trauma, can we please have a moment of silence for Kyle Fletcher's nether regions? The man took not one, not two, but 3 shattered dreams from each of Garcia, Guevara and Dustin Rhodes in their triple threat. Man, I crossed my legs. Elsewhere on the card, Swerve and Ospreay squared up with the Young Bucks, and this is AI, right? Like, this is computer generated, surely. I mean, honestly, too many spots to count here, but I did love the little moment at the end as Swerve showed that he had Ospreay's back and got in between him and the Bucks. Elsewhere, in one of our other multi-man matches, the Patriarchy finally dissolved following their loss to the Hurt Syndicate, with Nick Wayne looking to deliver a concerto to Christian before...
You think you know him?
Cope stormed the ring, bat in hand to clean house, saving Christian before pulling him up, and in a perfect callback to Christian telling Cope all those months ago to go f*** yourself. Instead, told Christian to go find yourself. Honestly, we need to see an Edge and Christian reunion before either of those men calls it a career. We need to. But on to the first of 3 main events on All In, and Toni Storm finally was able to put Mercedes Moné away after 3 separate Storm Zeros where not enough to get the job done. However, the highlight, as always with Toni, came when they put a microphone in front of her. During the All In post-show press conference, she said, talking about her title win, I've c***ed my panties in delight. And no, I will not be selling them. Moving on. Our second main event saw the much anticipated, and first time on Western soil, let's not forget, one-on-one between Omega and Okada. Omega Okada 5, All in Texas, let's go. And you know what? Very smartly done here. Almost working around the fact that neither man is really the same as what they were 7 years ago. Instead, working a much slower, more methodical match with bursts of explosivity. Okada frequently working over Kenny Omega's gut before Omega would explode with a big V-trigger or Snapdragon suplex. In the end though, following a very close 2 count after a kind of Rainmaker clothesline. I mean, it was more of a discus lariat more than anything, but Kenny would then nail the one-winged angel, which would in turn cause Don Callis to pull the ref out the ring to avoid the 3 count. Nobody kicks out of the one-winged angel. After that, 2 more Rainmakers later, and by the way, one of the best meme faces from Okada following the kick out after the first one, and Omega was done. And finally, for All In at the very least, I mean, we've still got Evolution to go here, we have the AEW World Title Texas Deathmatch, and oh boy. Look, if you thought Samoa Joe's spot from earlier on was gnarly, look away now. Similarly, if you are watching this over a major meal that involves ketchup, maybe do the same. Because this match started bloody before going full on elevator from the Shining levels of gore. An early spot, by the way, seeing Hangman Page with Moxley, in a triangle choke of sorts, just start with, what was it? Was it a fork? Was it a screwdriver? Just start jabbing away at Moxley's head. And if there was any doubt that this blood was Hardway, you saw the blood appearing in real time. Honestly, I winced. I genuinely winced. And if I didn't wince then, I winced at one of the next spots, which saw Moxley return the favour by dragging Hangman Page bareback across broken glass. Always makes me wince, that.
Real glass! Cry me a river!
I mean, I like a hardcore match as much as the next person, but... ugh, nah. Anyway, after involvement from the Death Riders, Will Ospreay attempted to make the save and even the score, only to get Samoa Joe'd. However, after a couple of other brutal spots, including a suplex onto a barbed wire table and a wince-inducing Death Rider through a chair, somebody did make the save. A certain masked man, who, if there was any doubt after he sat in the corner doing this, hit the Busaiku knee before unmasking to reveal, of course, Bryan Danielson. And that wasn't even the only return. Darby Allin lowered himself down from the rafters in a move that I'm not sure whether it was to reference him climbing Everest or if it was more like a nod to Sting doing something similar from his days in WCW when he used to lower in the harness down from the rafters. Either way, cool spot in theory. However, is it just me, or is my favourite thing about this the fact that I'm not sure if it was just the angle or not, but I don't think I have ever seen Darby Allin look more bored if he tried. I mean, I think he was up there for a while, so fair play, lad. Anyway, the closing moments of the match saw Mox hit a paradigm shift onto a literal bed of nails, which somehow didn't get a 3 count, before Hangman Page returned the favour, hitting a huge buckshot lariat to Mox, making him land back first on that same bed of nails. Page would then start choking Mox with a steel chain, and to cut a very long story short, we have a new AEW World Champion. Right, on to Evolution. One more to go. Right, let's get this sumbitch done. Sunday, Evolution. Fun show all told. Becky retained in what in my opinion was the match of the night against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Bayley and Lyra kind of cancelling each other out and proving to be each other's foil there. We also had Tiffany Stratton successfully defending the women's title against a very much still got it Trish Stratus. Some big moments including Trish hitting the Stratus faction, a beautiful prettiest moonsault ever for the win, and yeah, this match was always going to be good. Trish still has it, Tiffany's amazing. I was very happy with this one. Elsewhere on the card, Mariah May finally showed her true colours, as if there was any doubt. Honestly, anyone who's seen her in AEW was just waiting for this heel turn to come. If anything, we were surprised that she was being presented as a face. But yep, showing her true colours, blasting Jordynne Grace with the NXT Women's title before handing it over to JC Jane. However, highlight of the night has got to go to the Women's World Championship match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Absolute barn burner, both women proving why they are the best in their class, and after an avalanche riptide attempt got countered into a crunchy looking Spanish fly, leaving both women down, Naomi cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase, nailing Io with a split leg moonsault to become the new Women's World Champion. And that is the Wrestling Roundup. I'll be back next week with all the news from WWE, TNA, AEW and the rest. But in the meantime, take care. I'm going to go get some sleep.